I think that the tipping point has come now whereby there's so much awareness at a grassroots level that people are wondering why isn't this in the mainstream media more. I mean, it's like in Tel Aviv, for example, has been covered with tents for the last couple of weeks in sympathy with the Occupy Wall Street group, and it got no media mainstream coverage whatsoever over there, you know. But it's like the corporate controlled media has been, you know, editors would just tell people don't touch this story, you know, it's a load of conspiracy nonsense or whatever. People are beginning to wake up and realise that it's not conspiracy nonsense, you know, that there is a fraud being perpetuated against the masses by the fractional reserve banking system and the central banks, the privately owned central banks, and you know, they have puppets in government and at every level, and they have been controlling the situation.
Okay, let's drop some tax. Come on, guys. Let's get this guy. Tax.
Taking every sound you hear, take every sound.
No, we are not a separate movement. We are an international movement. This movement has sprung up. It's in thousands of US cities. It's growing by the day, and the power is in numbers. And it's as simple as this. Our slogan is "We are the 99%." Right? It's as simple as this. 1% of the world owns 60% of the wealth, right? It's not wrong. They're leaving us with the crumbs. If we stick together and gather in numbers, we can make a difference. Now, there's going to be cynicists out there who throw shit at us, call us like leftists, whatever, Marxist, communists. We're not buying into the isms anymore. This is not a left-right divide. This is a movement of the people. So join us.
I'm here as a mother. Last night it came to my attention that the personal debt of this country is 24,000 to each and every one of us. You know, personally, I did not borrow that money. I don't have a house. You know, I'm living in rented accommodation and I have no chances of ever owning a house. Secondly, that debit is going to go on to our children, and that is not right. And we need to stand up for our children, and everybody needs to come in here and do it for the next generation.
The horrific state repression that's been meted out against protesters in the likes of Greece and very recently in New York, horrific stuff we've seen on YouTube. It's because the 1% do fear the 99% and an organised movement don't have the power to get rid of the bastards. And I think, why is it? The rich have gotten richer. Like, the era of neoliberal capitalism came in because the way they could make more profit was through removing all barriers to make a profit, through the financialization of capitalism, etc. And it resulted in unprecedented transfer of wealth from ordinary people to the top elite. Coincidentally, last year in Ireland, the richest 300 people increased their wealth by €7 billion. For me, it's rotten. The private ownership of wealth is rotten. We see that with the banking system, and what happened with the banking system in this country is an illustration of how rotten and nefarious the private ownership of wealth is.
People have a wrong idea about it because we want everybody to join us because we are the 99%, a lot of people. So I would like to not to have a hostility about people who are members of parties because they're not the enemies, you know?
Yeah, just touching on some of the points that were already made, I think it is what we're doing right now. Basically the way the world's been running for the last 30 years has kind of tried to structurally divide people and keep them, really like individualized. So I think, even just being here right now has to be seen as, a really significant thing.
I'm going to get a small bit of a wall going over here where people can post their poems, their stories, their songs, whatever. We need to share with each other what we've been through because we're all in the same boat and everyone's being screwed the same way at the moment, and it's nice to share, if nothing else. So if you can't stay, maybe sign your name, write a sentence, write a couple of sentences, write a poem, write us a song.
Occupy Wall Street. This is a people's initiative unaffiliated to any political parties. Like Occupy Wall Street, this is a leaderless resistance movement with people of many nationalities, backgrounds, genders and political persuasions. We will utilise tactics of non-violence and civil disobedience akin to scenes of peaceful resistance in Tahrir Square during the Egyptian uprising earlier this year. Now is the time. I'll turn it up, is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Now is the time for the spirit of the revolt in Tahrir Square in Egypt to spread to other major cities and financial districts around the world. It is the duty of those of us living in Western capitalist states to take up the fight against the endlessly greedy bankers and political financial elites who cause so many problems, not for just people at home, but people all over the world. Chris Hedges put it well in this quote, and it goes for all of us in the West, not just America. There are no excuses left. Either you join the revolt taking place on Wall Street and in the financial districts of other cities across the country, or you stand on the wrong side of history. Either you obstruct in the only form left to us, which is civil disobedience, the plundering by the criminal class on Wall Street, and accelerated destruction of the ecosystem that sustains the human species, or become the passive enabler of a monstrous evil. Either you taste, feel and smell the intoxication of freedom and revolt, or sink into the miasma of despair and apathy. Either you are a rebel or a slave.
We are here, and 1% is there. And no longer we've been cast as a generation of apathy, a generation who doesn't bother, because why should we? We don't have time, we don't have the money, we don't have the people, we don't have the resources. This is proof that is wrong. We are here, and we are staying here, and we will demand our change, and we will have our change.
Take it all, take it as